Salt of the Earth Farm Stories is proudly brought to you by Trigg Media. From generations-old family farms to innovative sustainable practices, each episode offers a glimpse into the resilience, passion and dedication of Australian farmers and explores the profound connection between people and the land.
It was not so much robotics that we first went out to investigate, it was more so the barn. We had to get the cows out of the paddock here in Bungaree. It gets quite cold and wet during winter time. It's her dairy, it's not our dairy anymore. She runs the show. She comes and goes as she pleases.
This week, we're back in Bungaree to look into the fascinating world of a robotic dairy barn. Once again, I had the privilege of chatting with Mark Trigg, who's taken their dairy operation to the next level. The scale of the barn is massive. Just the construction alone was a monumental task. But what really sets this farm apart is the incredible system they've built, where cows are milked by robots on their own terms. It's a true partnership where, as Mark puts it, the cow runs the show. They come and go as they please, and everything is designed for their comfort and well-being. These cows even have their own nutritionist, back scratchers, and soft latex mats to sleep on. The robots don't just milk them, they're equipped to detect any changes in the milk, ensuring that each cow gets the care she needs. It's a truly remarkable setup and a testament to the hard work and innovation at the Trigg family farm. Trust me, you'll want to hear this one, so let's get into it. Good morning, Mark.
Morning, Darren.
Mark, tell me, what's going on here in this massive shed?
We are sitting in a 40 metre wide, 160 metre long, freestore cow barn with robotic milking.
There's a lot going on here and these cows look very happy.
They are. The cows have never been so quiet or in such good condition, since we've housed them in this freestore barn.
I do have to say that first up, how happy they look. They're content and very comfortable. Mark, can you tell me, how does a robotic dairy work? Or do we call it an automatic milking system?
Yeah, it is an automatic milking system. They're VMS or robots or AMS. There's a lot of different terms you can call it. So what we have here, we have 4 deal-of-ale VMS, voluntary milking systems, in place. So the cows work on a guided traffic. They have feed at lib. They go through a smart gate, which scans their ear tag, knows when they were last milked, whether it needs to be milked or not, and drafts off accordingly. So if it's got milking permission, it goes into the waiting area, it waits its turn to go to get milk. So its voluntary walks in. As it walks into the robot, it gets fed and gets milked at the same time. After it gets milked, into an exit lane, into another smart gate, where it can draft off for whatever reason you like. So you enter in the computer, you want such and such cow drafted off because you want to AI her, or she has a foot problem, or anything else you need. They go to a special needs area where they got feed, bed to sleep on, and wait for you to come and do it. After they've been milked, they come back onto feed. After they get fed, they go back through the smart gate again and go onto their beds. And that's where they lay there, lay down. If they lay down for 60% of the day, they're supposed to produce optimum milk, and then the routine starts again.
I'm just looking at a cow over your shoulder actually. It's rubbing its head on the back scratcher.
Yes, so we have back scratchers in the barn here. They're automated, so they rely on a bit of pressure, and once the cow touches them, they'll start spinning, run for about 30 seconds to a minute, and they're one of the most used items in the barn.
Really?
The cows line up for them.
Yeah?
They really do enjoy them.
And then the other one's just sitting on a 50mm latex pad?
Yeah, so the bedding is a foam mattress and with a rubber cover over it. Still got to be cleaned twice a day manually. Yeah, so everything's designed around cow comfort. If you don't have a comfortable cow, they're not going to produce milk.
So going back to the start, what made you implement robotics to your dairy?
It was not so much robotics that we first went out to investigate, it was more so the barn. We had to get the cows out of the paddock here in Bungaree. It gets quite cold and wet during winter time, and it could take you over an hour to get the cows out of a paddock which is only a few hundred metres from the original rotary dairy. So the first thing we had to do was build a barn, and we looked at them for years and years and just thought, this is out of our league, we can't do this, it's too big, we don't warrant one. In the end, we bit the bullet. We said, nah, we've got to do something. We had a bad winter that year and a lot of lame cows, ruining paddocks with mud, whatnot. So we actually went to De La Val and helped us design a barn with robots in mind. So our goal was just to get a shed up, get us housing the cows during winter, get them out of that wet and cold. But in saying that, we've found just as much benefit in housing them during summer.
Right.
Because of the heat and the sun and whatever else. So cows will stop eating during the hot days, less intake, less milk, so on. So about 15 years ago, we looked into purchasing a barn. So we had a local engineer who drew up plans for it, and he had a bloke who was importing sheds from China. I said, well, we'll try and we'll get a price out of China to see what it was. Well, the price come back a no-brainer. The steel, the shed delivered, fabricated, roofing, purlings, the whole lot was the same price we could buy the steel for, unfabricated in Australia.
Right.
So there we go. We've just imported a shed from China. And then next stage was, how are we going to build it? Who's going to build it? Got an engineering background, and I was more confident in building the shed myself, but not erecting the shed. I could weld it up. I thought that I could do that, but I didn't know how I was going to stand it up. Anyway, went out, bought a crane, went and got a crane ticket.
Did you?
And we started off at one end, stood a few posts up, put a few bits and pieces up. It wasn't that hard. In the end, we got a bit of a roll on, and the shed went up quite quickly, surprisingly. Hired a couple of scissor lifts, got a couple of young blokes to help us as well. And yeah, the shed up went quite well.
Well, we'll get into the design in a sec, but going back to the start, when you were thinking about it, you went over to Christchurch in New Zealand to do a bit of research over there. And I believe that was right when the earthquake happened.
Well, we didn't actually get there.
Ah.
That was on another trip. But yeah, that was a trip to look at barns, to see how we can improve the barn that we already built at that stage. But no, we did, quite a few of us, went to different countries and had a look at different barns and whatnot and see how they did it. And we went to UK and Germany and America and whatnot, and they're all a little bit different climate to us. A lot of them had snow and they had to house their cows in winter, where we don't have to, but we do get cold and wet. So ours is quite open compared to a lot of others. So yeah, it's a little bit different design, but it works for us.
So tell me about the openness, why you want a bit more airflow.
Yeah, you've got to have good ventilation for cows. There's a lot of new designs over in America and that now with tunnel ventilation, where they've got big fans drawing air through. We rely on natural ventilation. We don't have to run fans, we've got it open. We get a little bit of weather coming in from the sides. We could put a curtain up one day, but at the moment it seems to be working quite well.
Just recap and remind me, how big is the shed?
The shed is 160 metres long, 40 metres wide, and it's about 11 metres high at the peak.
And yourself and your dad built this?
Yes.
I remember the concreting process. That was massive, and even looking here now, I have no idea how you worked out all the levels to get the manure flowing the right way, and the robots a little bit higher, and the bedding a little bit higher again.
Well, there's probably only 6 flat spots in the whole shed that are actually flat, and that's where the robots sit.
Right.
All the rest is on a slope, one way or another. So it was originally designed for flood wash, but we don't want any extra water in wintertime here in Bungaree. So we went with chain scrapers. So there's a mechanical chain that gets dragged through with a sled on it.
For the manure?
For the manure. So it scrapes the manure out 24 hours a day. They run continuously and scrapes it to the end of the barn to another pit where we handle it down there. That was one way for us to handle the manure. But back onto the concreting, we concreted nearly every day for 3 months.
Serious?
I got advice off a local concreter down the road. He said it wasn't hard, you'd be right, you could do it. So gave us a few tips of the trade and whatever else, and yeah, ended up, I think there was over 1,100 cubic metres of concrete went into it. And while we're going, we thought we might as well build another silage pit too. So we poured some concrete tilt panels on the ground, we stood them up with the crane, and yeah, it all went together pretty well.
So was this one of the first in Victoria, or possibly Australia?
As far as I know, we're the second in Victoria to have a freestall barn with robots. So when I say freestall barn, it is actually a small cubicle where the cows can walk in and lay down. It's just got rails where they lay in between, and they're just there just to guide the cow to make sure she lays straight. So when she's laying down, if she does crap, shit, poo, yeah, when she's laying down, the manure goes into the laneway for the chain scraper to scrape out.
And this is all for animal comfort?
All designed around cow comfort, yeah. So the cow's got to be comfy to lay down. She's a large animal, you know, they're going in at 600 kilos, and she's got to lay down, and it's got to be nice and soft for her to lay down, or else she won't want to lay down, and you need the cows to lay down. They need to rest, they need to take pressure off their feet, stop that lameness.
And tell me, how did they transition from the rotary to the robotic system? I guess a lot of habit and routine.
Yeah, so cows love routine. They'll pick up a new system quite quickly, as long as they don't know an old one.
Yeah.
So it's hard to break habits. So yes, when we first introduced the cows to the barn, it was a big learning curve. We took on all the information from other people's, do this, do that. Well, after about day 3, we thought, what have we done? We let the cows back out. They walked up and down the laneways. They got sore feet. Mastitis broke out. Yeah, they weren't happy. So we put them back out in the paddock. A few alterations. Then we slowly thought, right, we'll just feed them during the day. We'll lock them in there during the day. They can lay down if they want to, and then we'll let them out during the night to have a rest and whatever else. And after a few months, we picked up, most of them started to lay down, a few never. So then we manually pushed them in there and got them used to where they had to stand to lay down and whatnot. And in the end, we had the whole lot laying down in the barn. And after...
This is probably a pretty nervous time.
It was. It was. We've done all this work, we've spent all this money, and the cows don't like it. What are we going to do? So, but yeah, once the cows got used to the system, we had them in here for 18 months, and then we thought, right, now it's probably time to tackle the robotic side of things. So we ordered the robots to install, and then that was the next headache, getting cows used to the robots. But I think in the end, they probably nearly picked it up quicker than we did. So us learning the system, knowing how to enter cows into the computer so they can get milked, and knowing the information what the robots are giving us, because we don't manually stand there and touch cows and got the feel of the cows, we rely on the robots to tell us what's going on with the cows.
So has it improved milk production?
Milk production, yes. It's interesting to see what cows will produce now, because it's all recorded. The robots will record each quarter. So each quarter is milked individually. Once that quarter's, the flow rate stops, the cup will come off, and the next 3 quarters will keep milking. So there's no over milking or under milking. Everything's recorded. We sit on average around 35 to 40 litres a day per cow, which is great. So yeah, milk production is up. Some of the top cows, they have peaked over 60 to even 70 litres in their peak production. So that's around that, over 100 days is around their peak time. And they've been getting milked up to 4 times a day, those cows. So they love the system. They've got milk there, they can go when they want, there's no stress on the cow, and they just keep producing more milk. It's great.
So could they go 4 times or 5 times a day if they wanted to?
Yep, yeah, it's all voluntary. There is parameters you set up. So you don't want a cow coming in there with 5 litres in its udder, you want her there with 10 to 15 litres. The smart gates pick all that up. You just go off the ear tag, the NLS ear tag that every cow has, and it knows that cow and what has happened throughout the day.
So can you describe a typical day for a cow in this barn?
A typical cow? Well, it's her dairy. It's not our dairy anymore. She runs the show. So she comes and goes as she pleases. We have some cows in here that may be overdue, but we know we can't get her in because she'll come in when she's ready.
Right.
Yeah. If she is not ready, she hasn't enough feed yet, she'll stand here and feed at the feed lane, and she won't walk into the robots. But when she's finished, she's never overdue, but yeah, she'll go and get milk when she's ready. Typical day of the cow starts off a little bit slow of a morning. So when you come down the first thing in the morning, we've got lights come on, wake up a bit, get going. So they are still creatures of habit. They still like to get milked morning and night, but there is cows getting milked 24 hours a day. They all come in at different times. So we still have a peak time around that 6 o'clock. So we like to get here 5:30, 5 o'clock, 5:30. Get here when it's quiet, we can wash up, clean up. If there's any incomplete cows or any treatment cows, we can get them done before the rest of the cows want to start.
So just on that note then, that's if the robot has picked up perhaps mastitis or some special care that's needed?
So a cow might have close rear teats and the robot hasn't been able to cup it, so it's been incomplete. The robot knows this cow is incomplete. It gets one chance to try milking it again, and if not, it will go into the special needs area. It will send us a message on the computer saying this cow is incomplete. You have a look and see what you've found out wrong. And it's usually close rear teats, or it could be simple as the camera was a little bit dirty and it wasn't cleaning properly throughout the night or something like that.
So then during the day, they'll feed, they'll milk, they'll poo, they'll do all those things. But is there party time for the cows where they're up and about and a bit more active?
Yes, they can. After they get up, it's optimum 60% of the time they like to lay down to get that pressure off their feet. They'll come out, have a scratch on the scratch brush, there's water at lib, feed at lib. And if a cow does get out for any reason, gets out under the feed fence, because it is only a single rail pipe keeping the cows in the barn, if a cow gets knocked underneath the rail or something, gets out, she'll walk out, stand out in the grass outside the barn, she'll come back in, have a feed, but walk back out there and lay down. She doesn't want to run off, she doesn't want to go anywhere, so she's quite happy to hang around.
All right, so you mentioned earlier too, it would take up to an hour to bring the cows in from the paddock to the rotary, and they would be burning up a lot of energy too. So now they're putting that energy into producing milk, is that right?
Yes, that's right, yep. And you lose a lot of condition in your cows too, so that's burning up more condition to try and keep the condition on the cows. It's wet and cold outside. So yeah, as you can see here now, the cows are in great condition. Lameness has dropped dramatically, so they're not walking as far, which does create other problems. Their feet still grow because they're not wearing. So we do two feet trims a year just to keep their feet in shape.
Really?
Yeah. So yeah, it's all done here. Got a crush that picks the cow up and winches their legs back and trims their feet.
Wow. You do that, or you get someone?
Yeah, David does all that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And tell me about the lighting in this place. They need X amount of hours of light?
Yep. Yeah, it was supposed to be 180 lux level of light at cow eye height to trigger a certain hormone protein in the brain to make them produce milk, similar to chooks that need daylight to lay eggs. It's the same thing with dairy cows and all these little things now. And it's getting harder and harder with farming, costs going up with everything. You really got to work on the little 1%ers to try and get as much out of the cows without overdoing it, of course. You don't want to burn the cows out. We want longevity out of cows. But yeah, have the optimum temperature, optimum light, optimum cow comfort. So yeah.
Well, once again, happy cows, I can see that. And you said before their manure gets scraped away automatically. A few years ago, there was some research put into making energy out of the methane.
Yes. Yeah, a local engineering company from Ballarat have designed their own version of a methane digester, a modular type system where they can stack them up. Yeah, so it's made out of shipping containers. They've pumping the cow manure in there, collecting the gas off the top, producing gas. We haven't been producing power yet off it, but just trying to get the system running with cow manure and whatnot. So,
well, I look forward to hearing the results of that. And now, I guess you can control their nutrient better too, can't you?
Yeah, so we have guidance off a nutritionist who tells us what we need to feed. Very basic ration, well, I would call it. Crushed wheat, which we supply all ourselves on our farm. We can grow our own crushed wheat. We buy a little bit of canola meal in for protein, and we grow all our own fodder, so all our own silage and hay. We grow grass silage and maize silage, and a combination of it. We feed twice a day.
I can't believe these cows have got their own nutritionist.
Yeah, so they're treated like an athlete, really.
Has the adoption of robotics affected your labour needs?
It probably hasn't changed a lot in labour needs. Might be a little bit less, but we still manually got to clean the barn, got to clean the robots. The robots still break down. They will send you an alarm any day or night. So yeah, it doesn't. Labour probably hasn't changed. You still got to look after the animal. You still got to feed it. You still got to look after its well-being. So you still got to be here. It's not just set and forget. I'm going to put a robot in. I'll come down at 10 o'clock in the morning after I have smoko and we'll go from there. You still got to be here. You still got to look after it.
Yeah, and it's very high tech now, isn't it?
It is, yes. And it was very daunting at the time, very scary. But yeah, I've taken to it a fair bit. You can replace a lot of parts and whatnot yourself. It's not as technical, a lot of wires, a lot of this, but yeah. It's all
I have
doable.
no idea how you got your head around it and how you learn it all so quickly, because it happened pretty quick, really.
It did. And look, we do get good support from De La Valle. And it's amazing how, if we have trouble, we ring the local technician. He can log on, logs onto his computer. He can log on to individual robots and see what's going on. Then if he has trouble, he can get Sweden to log on from where they come from. And yeah, so anyone around the world can log on to our robots and help us with any problems.
Wow. So does AI come into play yet? And I'm not talking artificial insemination.
Well, we do AI. Everything's AI'd, artificial inseminated. And actually, that is a good question too. We have another lot of technology there with Cow Manager. Is an orange ear tag that you can see in the cow's ears,
yep.
And that will give us when the cows are cycling and when they come into heat. It works on activity, rumination, and a few other things. I don't know how it all works. It's above my pay grade, but yeah, it sends us a report on the computer when individual cows are cycling and ready to be AI'd.
Right.
But as for AI, as in artificial intelligence, not as such. I haven't come across anything yet for that, but yeah.
Yeah. What's the most surprising thing you've learned since implementing robots?
I have noticed one cow waiting in the waiting area, waiting for her turn to get milked, and there's 2 robots per waiting area. And this cow was standing in the middle, and she was standing there having a scratch too. She was a very quiet cow. She was wanting her morning scratch. And then she would hear the wash cycle go on a robot after the last cow had been milked, and she would run to that robot, push the cow out of the way, and run in and get milked. And it didn't matter which robot, she wanted to get into the next robot being milked. Or you have the next cow who will only go into a particular robot.
Really?
She'd only go into robot 1, not robot 2. So yeah, they
that first one you were telling me about, she knew that wash cycle meant that in a few seconds she could get in there.
Yes, that's right. She knew how to work the system. So it is their dairy.
And we were just in there before, and I was watching one getting milked. The robots were putting the cups on by itself. The cow was there, very happy, just eating away on some special food while it was getting milked. Is that any different feed to what they're eating out here?
Yeah, it's just a grain-based feed, high protein, got a few minerals and that in it. And that is set up on a feed chart on going on milk production and lactation. So if she's early lactation, milk production increasing, she'll get a bit more feed. And then later on in her lactation, when her milk production's dropping, that feed will drop off to slow her down to get ready to dry off time. And in a dry off time, she'll get dried off, go back out in the paddock for 60 days, have a rest, have a calf, and she comes back in and does not miss a beat. Straight back into the system, and yeah.
Wow. How do you ensure the quality of the milk is maintained?
Yeah, everything's recorded. So yeah, temperature of the milk, everything's on the computer.
Is your old rotary being used at all now?
No, the old rotary was shut down a few years ago. Yeah, just with staff. We were only putting 100 cows through it, 150 cows through it. So it wasn't worthwhile. You know, find 2 staff to milk there morning and night. It just wasn't paying its way. So we concentrated on this. So yeah, got the robots up here now.
And do your numbers fluctuate a little bit with dairy cows in here? I think there's around 200 in here now.
Yeah, no, we're pretty consistent with our numbers. We carve all year round too now. So yeah, always trying to keep the barn full and keeping the robots at full production.
Yeah. Do you see more farms in Victoria adopting this robotic system?
Yeah, I hear there's a lot more going in, and a lot of bigger barns too. So or bigger, not so much barns. They can be pasture based. They don't have to be in a barn. But yeah, people putting in 10, 12, 14, 16 robots. So there's some big dairies going ahead.
What advice would you give to other farmers considering a robotic system?
Go have a look, spend some time on the farm, work with them for a few days. Yeah, know the ins and outs, and know what to expect. Yeah, they will send you alarms any day or night.
Yeah. Mark, can you imagine telling our pop that you've just received a message on your phone, a robot has just milked a particular cow, and the robot's picked up that particular teat has detected mastitis. The cow is now in a special needs area. This is all on your phone. And the other 200 cows have all been milked. They've been fed. They've had their back scratched. They've rested on a latex mat. Their manure has been scraped away. And there is currently not a human in the dairy. What do you think our pop would say?
Yeah, you'd say we're lying. Yeah, would not believe it. But in saying that, my father, who's now 80, has witnessed being lead roped to a cow bale while his parents had to hand milk a cow, to a herringbone, to a rotary, to robotics just in his lifetime.
That's right.
So imagine what's going to happen in the future. So anything could be possible.
All right, Mark, here are the off-the-wall questions, and this has got to be a little bit quirky when we've got cows involved. If you could have a magic wand to help with dairy farming, what would you get it to do?
Take alarms for me in the middle of the night. Fix a robot. Yeah.
Fair enough. Now, if your cows could talk, what do you think they would say to the robots? Pick me.
Go gentle on my teat cleaning.
Good one. What's the weirdest thing you've come across in the dairy?
It's a surprising, we found aborted calves. So because the cows are laying in a clean environment, not out in a paddock, you'll see a small fetus, 2 or 3 centimetres long, that sort of thing. So yeah, you do pick up strange things like, teeth. Surprisingly how many teeth you find in the barn.
I hope from the cows.
From the cows, yep. So yeah, so they say as the cow gets older, it will start losing teeth. And you quite often will pick teeth up off the ground.
Really?
Yep.
I didn't know that. What's the most unexpected thing that's happened since introducing robots?
Unexpected thing, lack of sleep.
Fair enough.
So, unexpected thing. Oh, seeing how cows adapt to the system so quickly. Like heifers coming in, never been milked before, will stand there and let you manually attach cups to it, standing there in the robot that's never been done before. Yeah, standing there eating, letting you do what you like.
Do the robots have names?
No, they don't. Only 1, 2, 3, and 4.
That'll do. If you had to train a robot to do something completely unrelated to dairy farming, what would you teach it?
It's probably already out there, but it could get me a beer, couldn't it?
Yes, it could. Does the cold weather in Bungaree influence the cow's milk production or behaviour in any way?
Cows surprisingly like it cold. Its optimum temperature for its rumen is about 4 degrees. So I think the optimum temperature for a cow is about 14. So actually, as we sit here, it's probably optimum temperature for a cow. Yeah, they don't like it hot. Over 24 degrees, they start to suffer heat stress, so they stop feed intake and whatnot. So yeah, cool weather is good for a cow.
Yeah. Well, Mark, that wraps up this episode, and congratulations, mate. This is enormous. It's very clever, and a real credit to you and your dad and the family farm here at Bungaree.
No worries. Thank you very much, Darren.
Thanks very much for your time, Mark.
Very good.
Mate, put it here. And that's a wrap for this week's episode of Salt of the Earth Farm Stories. A huge thanks to Mark Trigg for taking us inside the world of a robotic dairy barn and sharing how innovation is transforming life on the farm. It's clear that technology and animal welfare go hand in hand here at Bungaree. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please share it with fellow farm enthusiasts. Until next time, keep your hands dirty and your spirits high.